Jai Hind everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. And I'm here before you. And in this session, we will be discussing some very important things before I jump onto my session of Indian Polity, the NCERT, the Smart NCERT series for Indian Polity for UPSC examination. Okay. So, a very good afternoon to all of you. I hope all of you who have joined me now in this session, please do let me know, am I audible loud and clear? So, in today's session, I'll be discussing some very important things. In the previous session, I have told you that what all NCERTs are to be covered, okay, and how essentially the NCERT is the king of UPSC, okay. Now, before starting on to the discussion around the session today, I want to make, I want to have a discussion upon a small premise. Okay. At times, students ask me that, sir, what essentially should be our strategy to start off with the UPSC questions or the UPSC preparation? And usually, the students sometimes asks that, sir, which is one most important topic that we must study before finalizing upon our preparation for the UPSC examination. Now, I am a firm believer of this one fact that UPSC is the king of the Indian polity is the king of UPSC. Okay, and I can discuss this thing for sure that polity essentially is the highest scoring subject in the entire UPSC exam preparation. So, first and foremost, all of you who have joined me now in this session, please do let me know, am I audible loud and clear? Right. Am I audible loud and clear? Because in this session, I will be having a detailed discussion upon the UPSC questions asked, the Indian polity questions asked in the exam of 2026. 2026 prelims questions I'll be discussing with you in this session today. And with those sessions, I'll make it very clear that how the NCERTs will help you build a base. Now, with the UPSC prelims paper 2026, we have understood one thing, that Indian polity is now not just Indian polity. It is a combination of polity plus governance plus ideals of public administration and basic philosophies of the society. Okay, so we have seen that in the year 2026, when the questions were asked in the examination, okay, those essentially around, we can say that those 13 questions that were asked, okay, those questions were a combination of variety of concepts. And in those concepts, we need to understand that how NCERTs would help you prepare for them. Okay, so this is the basis. Now, when we start off with this preparation, okay, as I told you that UP in the UPSC preparation, Indian polity is the king. Why do I say so? Because usually in the examination, in the prelims, the number of questions have evolved from 12 to around 15 questions. Clear? So if we talk about the weightage in last 5 years, this weightage has been somewhere around 12 to 15 questions. Okay. In those 12 to 15 questions in year 2020, this weightage has slightly dipped when around 10 questions were asked in the examination. But post 21, we can see that the number of questions from Indian polity in the prelims have oscillated in between 12 to 15 questions. Okay. Then if we talk about the GS paper 2, okay, if we talk about the GS paper 2, the 50% of paper is polity and governance. And again, if we move on to the essay and interview part, we will understand that the questions are in the essay and the interview, the questions are directly linked to the constitutional values. Clear? So, in the last 5 years or within holistic analysis, we can very nicely infer that Indian polity is the king of the exam. You cannot write a compelling essay, you cannot write anything upon social issues or governance without having a strong constitutional base. Okay. So, first of all, all of you who are with me in the session, do let me know how many of you have attempted the previous year or the last Indian polity paper from the prelims. How many of you have attempted the questions after the examination? Okay, and what all did you infer? Now, today in this session, I'll be taking care of the questions that were asked in the 2026 examination, along with the sources from where we can find out direct questions. Okay, so Indian polity is one such subject which is a combination of concept plus facts. Clear? Now, before moving on to this comparison, okay, you need to understand that while studying everything, the basic issue that comes up with the students while reading NCERTs is that they think that it is just for a namesake reading. Okay, students do not even study NCERT, they just read through the entire book and then they believe that now they have prepared well, okay, or the NCERTs are complete. But let me tell you that for every topper, NCERT is the first basic strategy. You have to link class 6 to 12 NCERTs to Lakshmikant and beyond. Okay. Now, if you are reading a topic from class 6th NCERT, try to link it up with any higher topic. Okay, the topic that has been that is being repeated either in the class 11th NCERT or is being repeated in Lakshmikant. Clear? So first and foremost, this is how you build up with the NCERTs. Next, try to match up the real PYQ, okay, and the patterns it has been forming, and also the UPSC trend analysis. Clear? So what actually the paper is testing must be discussed. Okay, and I'll be taking care of all of these things in this session today. But before moving further, let me remind you that today is essentially the last day. Okay, last day for two things. First is the last day to avail flat 50% discount and double validity upon all UPSC IAS English courses. Okay, the all of our courses for 2027 and 28 preparation are now based upon the SMART model of preparation. Okay, and you just need to use the code SRM Live to avail maximum discount. Along with this, today is the last day to avail admissions in our P2I batches. Clear? So today is the last day to avail admission in the P2I batches. So please do not miss on with this opportunity. Do get yourself admitted, okay, and then start your preparation in the most structured manner. Okay. Now, moving further, now I'll be taking the 2026 questions. Okay, and I'll be discussing that what all were the sources of this. Clear? How you can relate these things with the Indian polity NCERTs, or how the basic concepts from your political science ideology, okay, or the philosophy that is being formed behind the formation of constitution, behind the formation of society, how they'll be reflecting directly into your examination. Okay, now this is set A of 2026 paper. Okay, there was a question that Mr. X, a senior officer, was overseeing a critical vaccination program during a pandemic. He found that a private service provider responsible for vaccine distribution was compromising on quality to make profits. Despite immense pressure to manage the issue due to vested interests, he raised his voice based on the principles of public administration, which he learned during various training programs attending across his career. He reported the issue to the appropriate vigilance authority and halted the contract to ensure citizen welfare. Which one among the following principles of public administration was most strongly demonstrated by Mr. X's action? Okay. Now, the options that were given was aspirate D core, okay, equity, accountability, and delegation. Now, if we talk about these principles, okay, now what does aspirate D core means? Now, Henry Fayol in the 14th principle has referred to this as a team building, okay, has referred to this as a building a team spirit and unity within the organization, okay. Now, when we talk about the unity in organization, let me again take you back to something that we will be reading in the NCERTs, okay. So this is something that we will be reading in the NCERTs, okay. Just have a look, okay. Now, when we go through the NCERTs, the very first topic that comes before us is the topic of, is essentially the topic of unity and diversity, okay. Now, when we have such an idea like the unity in diversity, okay, now what do we understand? I'll also take you through the examples that from where similar questions can be framed from the NCERT also, okay. So when we start off with this, just see, okay, the principle is diversity, okay, and in this UPSC question, the question was asked around various principles which were given, clear. So a concept like esprit de corps, okay, which is Henry Fayol's 14th principle, okay, herein Mr. X's actions, okay, they are directed at an external vendor, okay, and towards a vigilance authority, clear. So he is not fostering anything which corresponds to team harmony, okay. So this principle would be wrong, okay. Now, the first topic in the NCERT comes up is the topic of diversity. Now, when we go through this entire topic of diversity, okay, this topic of diversity has given various examples, okay. Now, in this very first concept itself, we will feel that how different principles, okay, how different principles are being associated with this, okay. Now, in this first chapter itself, okay, in this first chapter itself, we can infer four different philosophies of Indian polity and Indian governance from this topic, okay. So this topic herein, when we'll start off with this topic from tomorrow, you will see that this topic talks about mainly four theories, okay. Various examples that have been mentioned, they will talk about concept of decentralization, okay. So the geographical responsiveness that is talked here is about decentralization, okay. It will talk about the concept of welfare state, so the concept of distributive justice will be studied from this, okay. By reading secularism from this topic, we will be able to learn about the concept of or the theory of national integration, okay. And also the affirmative actions can be learned through social mobility, clear. So we can understand one thing, that how a topic of NCERT and the various examples that are given in these topics, okay, in these topics we will see that various examples will be given around this, okay. We will have principles, we will have examples from the given around Samir, okay, and uh, basic simple questions like name three ways in which Samir ek and Samir do were different, okay. So these are a few things that you must keep in mind if you are preparing for Indian polity for the prelims as well as mains, okay. So herein the Samir ek, even though we'll be reading this topic in the next session, but I'm just giving you an example that how theories of public administration, how theories of Indian polity, how theories of polity and governance are being framed from NCERTs, okay. Just giving you a gist about this. This story of highlights Samir Ek, who is a educated Hindu privileged child, Okay, and Sameer though, who is illiterate, a Muslim, poor, selling newspapers. Clear? So this chapter will help you explicitly differentiate between diversity. Okay, diversity that is based upon religion and language, and inequality that is based upon lack of resources. Now, when we'll be discussing this topic, I'll also tell you about the theory of public administration. In this, we will get to know the theory of corrective mechanism. Okay, so this is why I'm telling you why NCERTs are important. In this, in 2026 paper, we had seen 3 case studies given to us, and even though all of those case studies had corresponded towards any theory of public administration, but eventually they are there, it is something that is evolving after making references to the Indian constitution. Clear? So the if we talk about the theory of diversity, okay, which is a natural resource, okay, we can infer that it is something where diversity is a natural resource, inequality is an administrative failure. Okay, so such examples that have been given in NCERTs are the best way to understand the mind of examiner for the upcoming UPSC examination. Clear? Now, moving on to this question itself. Okay, the next, I have told you what esprit de corps is. Second comes equity. Okay. Now, Fayol's 11th principle deals with fairness in treatment of employees and stakeholders. Now, this is something how unity in diversity is taking us towards. Clear? So, Mr. X in this question is not demonstrating equal treatment of parties. He is holding a defaulting vendor responsible. Clear? So, equity is tangential. Clear? Third comes accountability. Okay. Now, when we go about delegation is something that we are transferring our authority downwards. Okay. Mr. X is doing the opposite in this case. He is personally taking up the responsibility and ownership. Clear? So, the correct answer to this question is the concept of accountability, the theory of accountability that he has been taking up. Clear? Okay, so good afternoon, Cricket Mirror. Good afternoon, Avilem. Now, those of you who have joined me late in the session, I am herein discussing that how NCERT can help you link the questions and the theories that are being asked in the examination. Clear? So, in this question, Mr. X's action, they are displaying 3 observable accountability behaviors. Okay. First and foremost, he held the private vendor responsible for his acts. Clear? Second, he reported upward to the vigilance authority. Okay. And third, he had halted the contract in the public interest despite vested interest pressure upon him. Clear? So, such examples that are given in every corner of NCERT shall help you prepare in the best possible manner. Okay, so this is my suggestion. Okay, whenever you are starting off with anything, do not miss these simple examples that are given by NCERT. So concept ye Sameer 1, Sameer 2 concept. Okay, and essentially you can also find that various other principles. We will have a comparative study around the region of Ladakh also. So that is something that forms the best part of Indian polity, and with regular examples you can understand everything that is being asked here. Clear? Okay, so just remember that NCERT, whenever you are going through these topics, okay, these examples will help you understand that what essentially are being asked. Okay, now when we have a look over this question, okay, this question can be directly traced to the concept around NCERTs, the concept given in any book, okay, concept given around the second ARC report. Okay, it can be matched to the DOPT directions on ethics. Okay, it can be based upon the ideology or philosophy of the Central Vigilance Commission. Clear? So from all of these places you can make relations to this, but the most unit thing that will help you understand these concepts are the NCERTs. Clear? Okay, so good afternoon all. So all of you are joining me. Let's just try to understand that how these basic concepts can be directly recovered from NCERTs. Okay. Next comes another question that comes to your mind in the examination. Okay, another question that was asked in the examination. In a multi-ethnic district where economic competition and historical grievances frequently led to community tensions, a flashpoint has arisen when a government decision to allocate land for a waste management facility near a tribal hamlet sparked protest by tribal community which claimed the land was sacred and critical to their cultural identity. Urban residents and local industries supported the project, citing severe solid waste challenges and health concerns. As a responsible government official, you are tasked with resolving the situation through mediation. Consider the statements. First, a successful conflict resolution process must begin with acknowledging the cultural concerns of the protesting tribal community before discussing the technical alternatives. Second, the government should move ahead with the project without a delay to address urban health concerns which outweigh the sentiments of a small group. Third, creating a multi stakeholder dialogue platform, tribal leaders, environmental experts, and municipal representatives to build mutual understanding. Okay. Fourth, conduct an independent environmental and social impact assessment and sharing findings transparently. Which of the following statements above would contribute to the resolution process? Okay. So, such resolutions can only be understood if you are able to understand the concept of diversity that is involved in this. Okay. So, when we acknowledge the cultural concerns of the tribal community, okay, we must understand that what essentially is the foundation that is involved around them. Clear? What is the foundation of all the tribal conflicts or the tribal concerns that have been taking place? Clear? So, in this, when we seek, okay, first statement says a successful conflict resolution process must begin with acknowledging the cultural concern of the protesting tribal community before discussing technical alternatives. Now, this is something which is very much correct. Okay, this will help you understand the real cause. Okay, now this is something that finds its genesis in the Forest Rights Act also. Okay, second example, the government should move ahead with the project without a delay to address urban health concerns which outweigh the sentiments of small group. Okay, now this is basically the brutal reality. Okay, calling tribal concerns sentiments of a small group is a majoritarian approach. Clear? This is similar approach wherein you are acknowledging your interest without acknowledging the ideals involved for others. Clear? So this is something that must not be done. Okay. Third is creating a multi-stakeholder dialogue platform, tribal leaders, environmental experts, and municipal representatives to build mutual understanding. This is absolutely correct. Okay. And fourth, conducting an independent environmental and social impact assessment and sharing findings transparently. Now, this has to be done. Okay. So, the correct answer to this question is option A, 1, 3, and 4. Clear? So, this is something that you have to approach. Okay. Or why I have been taking up all of these examples, because when I start off with NCERT part, okay, you will find that this is how a person from a majority group will be able to understand the concern of minorities, concerns of the tribal community, and this is what the very first topic of class 6th will help you understand. Okay, so the approach to study NCERT is not something that you must ignore or you must take up lately. This is something that will help you understand the entire genesis of the Indian Constitution. Clear? What Indian Constitution is trying to deliver. Okay, so they all are those things that all of you must understand. Clear? Okay, I hope all of you are getting the idea about how to go ahead with this. Clear? Understood? Okay. So, how I'll be continuing ahead with NCERT will be around all of these things. So I have just taken up basic examples around how I'll be able to link it up with the diversity. Okay, that will start off in the next session. Okay, now moving ahead onto the real concern. Okay, now essentially how you have to start up or how you will be preparing for this topic. Clear? What is the best way to go through the NCERTs? Okay, so just understand that for most of the students, NCERT is like a quick first read. They treat NCERTs with, let us go through it very quickly, okay, and then we will move on to the next book or the relevant book as per them. So this is the biggest problem that you guys make. Clear? So first and foremost, NCERTs have to be read first, okay, and toppers have consistently credited it, okay, and it is the single best differentiator in the prelim score. Clear? So it is a pattern tested. I recently had taken you through various questions of 2026 paper so that you will be able to understand how things are being made. Clear? Second is, what is the method? How NCERT has to be read? Clear? Now, while reading NCERT, first read it for the concept. Try to understand that what NCERT is trying to depict. Now, one more thing. I have always told my students that whenever you are attempting any question of Indian polity is something that all of you know. Okay, you might be hearing things around you taking place around Indian polity. Now, in this situation, whenever you are stuck at any problem, whenever you are stuck at any question of Indian polity, just take an example in your mind. Okay, that for this example, if you can take diversified examples and all of them lead you to a single result, then that concept that has been asked from you would be the most accurate concept. But in case an example concludes something else while taking up the other example, then you must not go ahead with the question. Okay, that is something that you can understand that the statement that has been given to you is incorrect. Okay, now first of all, read the NCERTs, then link it to the higher books. Okay, and then you have to trace the PYQs. Even though I'll be taking care of all of these things for you in my session. Okay, so if you must apply this to every chapter from class 6 to 12th. Okay, now UPSC has shifted itself from the rote based facts, okay, and now the questions are application based. They have integrative questions, and NCERT is built exactly this kind of basic understanding. Clear? So in order to build a basic understanding of anything, NCERT will be very, very useful. Okay. Moreover, the examples that have been given or the trick questions that have been asked will help you understand to comprehend the entire concept around governance also. Okay. Next comes, what is the core philosophy? Okay. And as many of you think that NCERT is a book only for beginners, now this is a great myth amongst you. Clear? Most of you think that NCERT is just for a quick first read, okay, and you must jump directly to Lakshmikant without conceptual base. This is the mistake that you make. Clear? Most of you read it for information, and most of you ignore the UPSC analytical angle. Clear? You never revise NCERT after the first reading, okay, and also you ignore the chapter end questions. Clear? You are more interested in memorizing facts without asking why does this matter for governance. Clear? So one thing, in the starting of my session, I had told you that UPSC preparation is not about preparing for prelims exam. It is about preparing for prelims exam while making your concepts clear for mains as well as for interview. Okay. Next, what is the smart approach? Okay, even though in my sessions I'll ensure that all of these problems are also resolved. Okay, we will be treating NCERT as the primary source. Okay, the UPSC question setters use this language. So from every topic, I'll keep asking a few questions from all of you, and I'll also give a few examples wherein you will be able to understand the topic. Moreover, in the end, I'll also give you some 5 to 10 questions. Okay. NCERT first builds the why, and then Lakshmikant can add to what. Okay. So NCERT can help you build the philosophy, okay, around what led to this topic being part of the constitution, and then Lakshmikant can help you understand the details. So that is a later part. Clear? Reading every line, could this be turned into a prelims question? So this is something that we'll be targeting. Okay, the 3 case studies this year that have been asked, okay, have now forced us to read every topic with references being made to either governance and public administration. Clear? Read NCERT 3 times. Now, not all NCERTs have to be read thrice. Okay, just class 11th NCERT can be read 3 times. Rest all the NCERTs must be read only once. Clear? Chapter and question solving is a must. Okay, because they will help you to understand the answer writing part. Clear? Now connect every concept to real institutions, amendment, or the current events that have been taking place. Clear? So you have to link everything to what has happened now. In case an amendment has taken place, then what essentially is the concept around the same, and lastly, what all are the current events involved. Clear? So first and foremost, you must understand this thing. Clear? Moving ahead. Next, the 3-step method, as I had told you. Okay, in every situation you must understand these things. Clear? After each chapter, search the UPSC prelims topic PYQs for the last 10 years. Okay, identify which exact NCERT line or idea the question is testing, and also annotate your NCERT margin with the year. Clear? So in whichever paper, whichever question, whatever thing has been asked, okay, you must have to note it down along with the year that it has been asked. Clear? So this is how you will be making best use of your NCERT. Clear? So this is how the NCERT best use has to be made up, and this is how these concepts have to be understood. Clear? Next, moving ahead. Now the concept ladder, how one idea essentially helps you understand this thing. Clear? Now one idea will help you understand how these things take place. Clear? You will be able to make it out that how essentially all of these things are taking place. Clear? So whenever we are talking about these things, whenever we have an example around the local self-governance or how these things can be built up later on, clear, we can understand that how essentially the NCERTs that have been mentioned in class 6th, okay, we can essentially see that how these concepts have been built up in class 6th. Okay, suppose the concept around the Panchayati Raj institutions had been built. Okay, the Gram Sabha, the Sarpanch, the 3-tier structure that has been introduced through the Hardas village story that will be mentioned in this. Okay, so every small concept has got a greater reference in the examination. Okay, next, the local government details that have been given in the class 8th examination have been also made use out of it. Clear? Next, in the class 9th or 10th NCERTs, you will understand the federalism and the power sharing concept. Clear? So why local government matters for India's federal design? Okay, the various comparisons that have been given with Belgium and Sri Lanka, that will also make a that will also help you understand. So even though this class the concept of local self-governance has been introduced in class 6th, but this is how you can make it up. This is how you can trace it to a higher concept in your examination. Okay, so this will find the topic that starts in class 6th, okay, will find it references in all the above layers. Clear? So whenever you will reach a book like Lakshmikant, or whenever you are preparing for the mains examination, it will help you to understand higher concepts like the PISA Act. Okay, how it can be linked up to reservation in the panchayat, what all recent amendments have taken place. Clear? How devolution of funds are taking place. Okay, and how what all are the current debates around this topic. Clear? So this is how concept ladder has to be built. Clear? So NCERT will help you understand the first thing, okay, around the evolution of such an idea in the constitution and how it has been built up for a higher cause. Clear? Next, UPSC trend analysis. Clear? So, UPSC trend analysis is very important. You must understand that what actually is being tested by UPSC. In the recent examination patterns, we have understood one thing, that UPSC is no more interested in recalling the facts. Okay. UPSC is no more interested in recalling the facts. Clear? Previously, how questions were asked around the state, but now, okay, previously we had questions around very objective ideas, around the application of the features around the office of the president or the state executive. Clear? But now the questions are, which of the following statements about the head of the state is or are correct? Clear? So, if you need to understand everything, there has to be a complete evolution of the idea, complete evolution of the concept. Clear? Statement based matchings are being asked. Now, 70% of recent prelims polity questions, they are using multi-statement or matching formats. Clear? NCERT's clear conceptual explanations are ideal preparation for this. Clear? You will find that in case you directly jump onto a book like Lakshmikant or any other book, okay, it is always very information heavy, okay, and at times you will not be able to understand things. Clear? Next, integration across static plus current affairs. So recent, in the starting itself, I have given you a very good link up with the previous year questions. Clear? So you can link static polity concepts, as example federalism, to current events like the GST Council disputes, Article 370, and NCERT will give you this understanding upon the static base. Clear? Keeping in mind the preparation for mains exam, this helps you understand the constitutional philosophy. So, as I have been telling you from the starting itself, UPSC preparation is pre plus main simultaneously. A good UPSC aspirant is someone who can comprehend the same question, same topic for both the exams. Somebody who can objectively think, keeping in mind the perspective of prelims, and can simultaneously frame a long answer for the mains around the same concept. Clear? And that can be understood only if you are able to understand the theory behind which, or theory that led to the inclusion of that topic in the Constitution of India. Clear? Moving ahead, how PYQs are mapped back to NCERT's themes. Clear? So we have seen that a pattern has been followed. Okay, and in the examination, direct questions are being asked. Clear? So what NCERT gives you? NCERT explains a definition clearly. Example: federalism, discrimination. Okay. NCERT will list features or types of government, types of discrimination. Now, in the last year examination, a question was asked around different types of federalism, different types of democracy. Now, this is something that has evolved. Okay. Moreover, if you will find the new updations or the new developments of higher level books like Lakshmikant or D.D. Basu or any other book, you will also find that in their new or in their reprints, they have also included very basic definitions directly from the NCERTs. Okay. Next, NCERT will narrate a case study. Now, why case study is important? As seen in 2026 paper, we had 3 case studies. Clear? So, Ambedkar's Koregaon incident, apartheid. Now, these concepts are being discussed. Clear? So, NCERT will give you a complete structure of the institution and with various examples how diversified mindsets are being made part of it. Clear? Now, UPSC turns similar thing into prelims. Will ask you identify the correct definition. It can ask you which of the following is or are correct. In UPSC GS1 and GS2, the references are made, okay, to very basic concepts. Okay, and finally, prelims as well as mains will test your structural or functional knowledge around the same. Clear? Okay. Next, if we move ahead, what will be the reading plan for us? Okay, so since I'll be taking care of this entire series as if you are a beginner, okay, and even if more time is required, okay, I'll make sure that topics are divided in such a pattern, such a fashion that you understand everything. Okay, now we will start off with class 6 in our first session. Okay, and if need be, this is my plan, but if need be, I can bifurcate it into more than one session. Okay, so I'm planning that even though I have taken up this into 9 sessions, okay, but it can anytime go to even twice sessions. Okay, so around 20 sessions maximum will be taken up in order to understand these things. Clear? Now, along with this, okay, along with this, how you can prepare for this? Now, firstly, let me tell you, you can directly download free NCERTs from the NCERT website, as I'll be doing so. Okay, so you need not buy the books separately. Okay, you can just download the free PDFs that are available free as a free source material. Okay, download those books. Okay, and just give yourself a very first reading. Clear? Now, when I'll take up the topic, so tomorrow I'll start off with class 6 chapter 1. Okay, the topic of diversity. Now, when you give a reading onto this, you will be able to catch up things fastly. Okay, then always have a dedicated margin system. So whenever you are making notes of your topics, always keep space left in the margins. Okay, always keep space left in the margins, so that if any value addition has to be done, any current affairs have to be added, then that can be written simultaneously. Clear? Then along with every topic, I'll be taking up the PYQ compilation. Okay, moreover, polity tagged questions, okay, will take up them in a chapter wise manner, so that you are able to correlate them in the real time situation. Clear? A concept ladder notebook. Concept ladder, as I told you, that every theme will have a reference in a higher level book also. Class 6th themes will be repeated in class 9th also. Some topics will be repeated in 11th also. So you will be able to understand how to match them up. Clear? Then after completing NCERTs, you can anytime jump onto a book like Lakshmikant that will help you to revise things. Okay. And finally, a revision has to be done. Clear? Revision of only selective topics, not all the topics. Clear? Okay. So understand that your aim should be to read NCERTs like an examiner and not like a student. Okay. Every line you read, you must be able to ask a question why. Okay, and how UPSC can add this up. Now, I'm expecting that all of you are going through the newspapers daily. Now, whenever you are going through the newspaper daily, again, that must be correlated with the constitutional events taking up. Clear? Never read NCERTs in isolation. Okay, always find its higher class equivalent, as I'll be telling you. So don't worry, I'll let you know everything. Okay, solve every chapter and question fully. Now, this is my personal experience that solving chapter and question of NCERTs will always help you to think comprehensively with respect to the mains mindset. Okay, trace at least 2 to 3 PYQs per chapter before moving to the next one. Okay, and revise 3 times. As I've told you, it is only selective topics. Clear? So from tomorrow onwards, we'll start off with this strategy. Okay, and tomorrow onwards, we start off with the class 6 NCERT. Okay, first chapter. Okay, around diversity, we'll be covering this up. Clear? So all of you who have been part of this session, please do let me know that you have understood the complete mechanism of how to go ahead with NCERTs. Moreover, again, I am reminding you that today is the last day to avail flat 50% off on all StudyIQ IAS English courses. Okay, the P2I batch has already started, and today is the last day of admission. Okay, today is the last day to get yourself admitted into this. Okay, so do not waste any moment further. Okay, and we will help you to build your base from basics up to the UPSC level. Clear? So this sale is ending today. All the courses are based upon our smart model of preparation. Okay. And we are also offering you flat 50% discount plus 2x validity. Clear? So please do not waste any moment further. Do join the Study IQ courses and start your preparation in the best possible manner. Clear? So all of you who have been part of this session with me, do let me know that I hope all of you have understood how to go ahead with reading NCERTs, how to link questions with various concepts, and how effectively you can match everything from the basics or the point of evolution, which is the NCERTs. So from tomorrow, we'll start off with this series. Okay, daily 3 p.m. we will have sessions around the same. Clear? So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session.